I know you wrote an article about Denzel Ward working in the slot, opening to being versatile. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then kind of dovetail on that. In hearing the defensive players talk, it seems like things are they're just different this season.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example of it, right? Like last year, it was going to be Greg Newsome in the slot. He was the guy, and that's fine. I'm sure a lot of teams do that, right? They have one slot guy. But Newsome didn't love how he was used. We talked about that a billion times. Felt like he was too much of a linebacker in the run fits, right? Not just covering, which can take a toll on a cornerback, right? He's only 200 pounds. It can take a toll. It feels like, just from watching a couple of these practices, that Schwartz is more open to rotating guys in there, depending on the matchup. So maybe we see Martin Emerson Jr., let's say you play Tampa Bay and Mike Evans is in the slot. Well, instead of saying, okay, Greg Newsome, you get him when he's in the slot, maybe Emerson slides in with him. Or if let's say if Peoples-Jones was going to be the Brown slot guy this year, and he's a bigger guy, maybe Emerson draws that assignment that week. And I think when you see Denzel Ward take some reps inside, to me that signals, okay, if you're playing a team like Cincinnati and Jamar Chase, and Ward can say, that's my guy. And then if he goes in the slot, instead of handing him off, you say, okay, I'm going to follow this guy across the field all game long. And I feel like you used to see that more in the NFL, and maybe you don't see as much. You see some sides, guys play sides. They don't travel inside. I think Schwartz feels to me like he's more open to those kinds of things. I know he trusts those corners. He talked about using 5 linemen, like in a package. On pass rushing situations, go 5 linemen, and because he trusts his corners to clamp down, and, obviously takes the person out of coverage. But up front, what it does is it means it's harder to double team a guy like Myles Garrett. You got 5 guys coming on 5 linemen. You got to keep in a running back. You got to keep in a tight end. So I have no doubt that Jim Schwartz will be aggressive. I think he's going to use a variety of personnel packages. 3 safeties is not going away. I thought it might when Joe Woods left. With Rodney McLeod and Delpit and Thornhill, Schwartz is going to use that a lot. So I think you're going to see variety, and I think you're going to see an aggressive scheme.
It sounds like it's much simpler, too. It's not as many, if this happens, I have to do this. If this happens, we got to do this, and it seems like this is what we're going to do. Go do it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because I'm talking about all this variety, but I think it's based in a simple scheme, right? The front just has to go attack, right? The rules are not complicated for what the guys up front have to do. I think your safeties have to be smart. They don't have to know what to do. But if you're playing a bunch of man, which it feels like they're going to do if their corners stay healthy, then you don't have the same communication breakdown, right? And Schwartz, I'm sure you remember, Dave, when he talked to the media for the first time in January, said, my guys are not going to be looking at each other going like this. Right? We saw that too often. So Ward said it feels simpler, and I think we're going to see that. I just think that's going to be something. Ward thinks that's the biggest change from Woods to Schwartz is a simplification of especially the communication.
Yeah, the thing Schwartz said is a high school coach will be able to diagram and tell you what we're doing defensively. And he said tricking people isn't the sauce, it's the communication. So we'll see.